Hello guys, welcome back to SWS Boxing. Delighted to get on Cian Reedy. I've probably messed that up big time, but how are you? And it's fight.
Good, pal. Good, yeah, yeah. Going well. Just finishing up training now, so all the training is done over the last 8, 10 weeks, and just looking forward to Saturday.
hmm And you're boxing Nathan Darby in Bradford over 4 rounds.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, boxing Nathan Darby. Yeah, we've known we were fighting him for about the last 4 weeks. But he had a couple of fights over the last few weekends, so you're never really too sure until if something could happen in them fights, or you could get caught or injured or anything. So, but at least we know now we're fighting him 100% on Saturday night.
Yeah, exactly that. And yeah, before we get into your debut, talk about how you sort of got into the sport of boxing.
I started when I was about 5 or 6. My dad put me to Taekwondo. It was more just kind of get me out of the house and have me doing something. And then when I was about 9 or 10, I had a few kickboxing fights, but there wasn't that many like competitions and stuff. And you might have been training all year and maybe only had 2 or 3 fights or something. So I kind of gave up on that. And I moved schools when I was in fifth class in Ireland. So I think you're like 10 or 11. And one of my friends, he's still one of my best friends to this day, is coming over to the fight on the weekend. He kind of got me into it. His dad was the coach, and he kept annoying me, saying, "Oh, kickboxing's better than, or boxing is better than kickboxing." And I was like, "Sure, how can boxing be better than kickboxing? Like how? Because you can kick and box in kickboxing." And then I just basically went to prove a point to him that I enjoyed boxing or enjoyed kickboxing more, but I didn't. Like when I went, I preferred boxing, so I just stuck at it and got me out of the house. When I was a kid, like it got me out of the house, but obviously now it's very serious to me now. So just kind of stuck at it since I've been about 10, and I'm almost 23 now. So it's been a long time, yeah.
hmm Yeah, and yeah. Did you have an amateur career or?
Yeah, I've had about, I think, I don't know for definite, but I think it's definitely over 120 fights probably in the amateurs. Probably all in a lot. I had a lot of international fights. I had 14 international gold medals, just different tournaments around the world. 5 or 6, 5 national finals. Um, yeah, I had a lot of amateur fights, a lot of international fights. I think I think I have about 60 international or 70 international fights. So had a lot of experience, yeah, in the amateurs. But obviously the pro game is different, so it took our time. Sparred some of the best pros in Ireland, the UK. Been sparring some of them over the last few months. Good experienced lads, 11-0. Gary Cully's in the same gym as me in Ireland. Um, I think he's 19-1, or he's world rated now in the top. I think he's number 7 with a couple of the sanctioning bodies or
How
something.
good is it to have Gary in the gym with you?
It's incredible. Yeah, you have, you see how well he does, but people don't see, like when he took that loss, like he was straight back in the gym Monday. He fought on the Saturday, he was back to work on the Monday, and that's the mindset you need to have. And I admire that. Like, you know what I mean? People are always there to put you down after a loss, but he was straight back at it, and that's why he is where he is, and he's like maybe 2 or 3 fights off a world title. So that's to have him to look up to. To I was sparring him a good bit for his last fight with the Italian guy to work off him and other lads as well. We all push each other in that gym in Unit 3 in Naas. Also, I train in Leeds as well. For the last few weeks, I go over every week and train there for the week and come home on the weekend. So it's very good, yeah.
Yeah, good to hear, mate. And yeah, how long have you trained at that gym for?
Um, the one in Leeds I started in this year, going over and back. But obviously, just during training camp, mostly I go over for a week and come back. But I had been going over and back. But Unit 3 in Naas, I started training there maybe last November. I was in Port Boxing Club, one of the best amateur boxing clubs in Ireland since I was young. But just needed a change. Like, when I went pro, to have the other pros and stuff in the gym. There's a good few pros in the one in Naas. Unit 3. There's Gary, there's Paul Lunham, who's 1-0. He's another fight next week. He's another really close friend of mine who I grew up in the amateurs with. He's fighting on next Friday, the 26th. And we just kind of have that kind of a good vibe, and everybody pushes each other on in the gym. So it's good. It's good to have everybody and to be able to work off these people.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, I mean, were you happy with your amateur career? I mean, did you win any national titles, county titles?
I was, to be honest, yeah, I won a few provincial, the four province titles. Got to like five national finals, I think it was. I came up short. To be honest, I I I think I underachieved. To be honest, I had a lot of international gold medals, like mass big wins. Like beat my last fight in the amateurs was actually at 71 kilo. I beat the number one Canadian, unanimous. Got some big wins. Beat a lot of elite champions from other countries. Went to Scotland, beat the elite number one. Went to Poland. I beat the elite number one in Poland. I was just unlucky in national finals in Ireland. So to be honest with you, I think I underachieved. For I'm very hard on myself though, but that's just the way I am. You know what I mean? If I'd never say there's a perfect performance or a perfect spar or anything like that. So I've always been hard on myself, but um, just I am where I am now, and I'm looking forward to getting it going properly in the pros, and don't look back at my career and say I underachieved in the pros. So it's a big motivator. You know, all the guys who like over the last 2 years, I only lost a few times in the last 3 or 4 years. All of them were national elite champions in Ireland. That I lost last year in the elite championships in Ireland. He went on and won the elite championships. I lost on split decision, and then I went. My only other loss last year was in France against the elite champion. So like that's the level I was at. There were really close fights to them. And other than that, like I did well in the amateurs, and I'm not really happy with how well I did, but still I had a lot of good experience, and I got to travel the world a lot as an amateur.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's good. Yeah, so you're competing at welterweight, aren't you?
Yeah, this fight's scheduled at welterweight. I think it's 10 stone 8. So I think that's like 67.1 or 148 pounds more or less. That's what my last fight was at 71. My last few were at 71 kilos in the amateurs, but I'm making it really easy now. Like I'm on the weight now, so it's good. Just training properly and training twice a day. Um, so I think I'm not looking past this fight or any. I never look past any fight because you just have to focus on what you have ahead. But after, I think I can make super lightweight. So, but we'll just get the win, please God, on Saturday, and then look at where I go from there.
Mm-hmm. How did training camp go? All good?
Yeah, it was incredible. Yeah, it was like I said, I started early on sparring Gary Cully for his fight. I was at the start of my camp, and he was kind of finishing off his sparring. So that was about the first week of May. So it's been about 10 weeks really, to be honest. Of a training camp. Then I got some incredible sparring with the likes of Jordan Flynn. Before his fight with Cameron Vaughan got cancelled, I sparred him. I sparred Corey O'Regan a few times. Who else was I sparring? Sparring a few other pros in Ireland, Matthew Tyndall, Glenn Byrne, few of the top amateurs then in Ireland as well. I sparred Adon Byrne, who was in the gym with me as well. Dara Gilroy, I've been sparring him a bit. All good lads. So it was a lot of good, intense sparring, good sparring, high level sparring, exactly what you need, to get you ready, because you can hit pads, I think, all you want, and hit the bags and run, but it's the sparring is the closest thing to a fight. Like obviously, there's nothing like the fight when you have the crowd behind you, and you have the nerves, you have the small gloves, no head guard. There's nothing that can ever match that. But sparring is the nearest thing to. So I was very lucky to be able to get some of the highest level sparring around, and to prepare myself.
Yeah, so you've been sparring some good fighters, and
Yeah.
which is good. And yeah, of course, we'll speak about your debut. Yeah, you've got Nathan Darby, who's currently, had 9 fights. What do you know about him?
I just seen him fight, and he fought on Saturday. The kid he fought was strong. Lewis Booth. He's like 14-0, but I don't really know a whole lot about him. He's a southpaw. Yeah, I don't really know too much about him. he looks awkward. A few people have said he's awkward, but I don't know. Don't really know that much else about him. Just focus on myself and yeah, just look at my own performance as opposed to looking at what he does and doesn't do. Um, because you know when you have a fight coming up, you don't want to be focusing on your opponent. You want to try and just do your thing and you know focus on yourself.
Yeah. Um. So yeah, you're boxing in. It's a 4 round fight, isn't it?
Yeah, 4 rounder. Yeah, four rounder.
Mm-hmm.
Um, in the Cedar Court in Bradford. So we have a big Irish crowd coming over. I think there's about 60 or 70 lads coming over. So
So you've
which
got
is
a
which is
good bit
good.
of crowd coming over.
Yeah, it's good to have a lot of people behind me. A lot of people from my old amateur gym and a few guys from the other side of Ireland that I went on boxing trips with. So they're all getting behind me. They're coming, bringing their friends. There's obviously a few from Leeds now that I train with and their mates and then my family and stuff. So there's going to be a good crowd. I don't know exactly how many, but I think there's about 70 or 80 people coming to support me, which would be class, you know, because obviously in the amateurs, like I said in another interview, you don't really need a crowd as much. Like it doesn't, you don't have to sell tickets. You don't have to, you don't have to bring a crowd. But pro boxing's different. Like this is what when I started as a kid, this is what I always looked at. I never really looked at the Olympics, even though I had a lot of amateur fights and stayed in the amateurs a long time. I always looked at having them big pro fights and having that crowd behind you and coming out, and the way pro boxing is, like you have the big crowd and you have the music, you have the lights, and you have to start somewhere. So we're starting, please God, on Saturday night with a win and then move on from there.
Yeah, 100%. And yeah, so you mentioned that you train around Leeds area. Is that
Yeah.
why you're fighting in Bradford and not in Ireland?
To be honest, I was supposed to be out in Ireland on a card in August. Um, but that card was kind of, they were 50-50 on whether it was going to happen or not. And I was kind of getting sick of training as hard as I was without having a definite answer. So I just kind of said, right, lads, if that show isn't happening, which it isn't happening now, it could happen in the future, but what isn't going to happen in August? If that's not happening, get me out on another show like as soon as you can, because I'm just going to get sick of training the way I am. I wanted to keep building on the momentum that I got when I started sparring with Gary and stuff in May. So my coach actually, Wayne Woods, over in Leeds, he organised for me to get on this show in Bradford. He's friends with the promoter, Darren Burley, I think his name is.
Yeah, Darren,
Um,
yeah.
yeah, he's running the show. So yeah, got in contact with Darren to see if he had any space on the show. And yeah, Darren had space. So that's how I ended up on this show. But obviously there's going to be a bit of a crowd coming because it's my debut as well. But I wouldn't expect everybody to keep coming over and back to England. Like no matter what way you look at it, it's going to cost them a few quid. Like it's if they're buying tickets, buying hotel, buying flights, spending money. But they're not going to be able to do it all the time. So obviously, I'd like to have my next one in Ireland. Um, I'd like to have my next fight in Ireland. So yeah, we'll look at it after the weekend.
Yeah, 100%. And yeah, how are you feeling? Is there any nerves going into the fight as it's your pro debut, and do you put pressure on yourself?
I always kind of, I think anybody really. It depends how you deal with it. Like, I think I always get a small bit nervous, like regardless of what it is. Like, but obviously it's going to be a little bit more because of my pro debut. But I suppose it's how you handle it, how you can handle the nerves, and how you can deal with the nerves. Because you just have to believe in your training. You have to believe in how what you're capable of doing and do it to the best of your abilities. So yeah, there is a bit of nerves. Always was though. You know what I mean? From fight number one to fight 100 plus, there was always a small bit, regardless if I was boxing a beginner or a world champion. It's boxing, So yeah, basically that's it. Yeah.
And what can the fans expect from you? And have you got a message to your fans who are coming over?
I want to say massive thanks to everybody who supported me, sponsoring me. The sponsorship has been incredible. The support has been incredible. A lot of people coming out of their way, you know what I mean, spending their money to come and support me, and I really appreciate every single good luck message. Every person who comes today, like comes up to me and when's your fight, when are you boxing, and we should look, because that drives you on, you know what I mean? And when you're training and you don't want to be training, you're like, oh, I'm doing it for everybody who supports me as well as doing it for myself. I want to prove them people right and do them proud as well as doing myself proud. So they can expect good boxing, good showing my skills, showing what I can do, what I've done all the time and what I know I'm capable of doing. So yeah, massive thank you to everybody and all the sponsors as well. People who have sponsored me out of their own pocket, businesses, local businesses getting behind me. I'm grateful for everything and for everybody that's getting behind me.
And before I let you go, you did mention a few of your sponsors. Do you want to shout out anyone else at all?
Oh, I'd probably forget a couple off the top of my head, but there's Ready to Drive is their own company, family business, CarMax and Monasterevin, TNA Autos, Lavish Tannin. There's been Hogan's Pub in Coolrain. There's Total Control Demolition. There's High Tech Demolition. There are two demolition companies in Manchester. Both my family. There's a massive amount of them. I don't want to forget anybody now. It's just off the top of my head. I have a list somewhere of everyone that's sponsored me, and then there's a lot of people as well, a lot of individual people who sponsored me, and for every one of them, I'm very grateful. I don't want to forget anybody now on that list, but yeah, there's a Dial Shoe Centre in Portlaoise. That's another one I forgot about. But yeah, there's been a lot of them. So massive thanks to them all.
And do you want to shout your manager out at all, or anyone else?
Yeah. Wayne Woods, my coach, Arias in Unit 3, and one of my other coaches, and Ian Cochran. They've put an incredible amount of time and effort into me. I've been going over, staying in Wayne's house, with his family, sleeping in the caravan, sleeping on the couch, just to try and better myself. And obviously, he's opened up his home to me. There's not a lot of people that do that for you. A lot of people try and keep boxing and family separately, but I'd be in the house playing with the kids, you know what I mean? And like boxing is one thing, but like regardless of boxing, he's my coach, and I've made a good friend for life with him, and all the boys, and that type of way. Boxing brings incredible friendships like that. But yeah, I want to give him a massive shout out and thanks to everything they've done for me, and hopefully on Saturday night we'll have a good start to the career.
100%, mate. And from me, thank you for your time and all the best on Saturday. And next time I'll get you on, hopefully you'll be 1-0.
Please, man. Thanks a million. Thanks for having me on.
Anytime. Good luck with the fight. Bye.
Thanks, pal. All right. God bless. Bye bye.